Welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast, the show where we help you optimize your health, fitness, and mindset on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. My name is Maxim Sigouin. I am a former triathlete, powerlifter, bodybuilder, and basketball player. And I've been vegan for 9 years. I've also been able to coach over 350 vegans from 20 different countries to completely transform their bodies and their health. I'm excited for you to listen to today's episode. Let's get into the show. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, I have a special guest, a Fit Vegan superstar, Rebecca. Rebecca, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much for taking the time to jump on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, you've been crushing it in your transformation. Last I know, I checked, you're down 20.4 pounds. You got some baby abs coming through.
I do.
Yeah. So I'm excited to just chat with you today, ask you a few questions. I'm curious to for you to share a little bit more. So how your journey's been, because I know it's the different lifestyle, the way that we do things compared to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just very excited to be chatting with you.
I'm excited to be here.
Good. Well, first thing I always like to start off is, do you mind doing a little bit of an introduction on who you are, what you do for work? Because again, people will still have the assumption that a lot of people that are in the program, either I get comments those are fake transformations. I'm like, those are real people. You can chat with them, but also that, you don't have anything else going on. You just have to work out and eat healthy. Right. And you have a pretty busy life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, do you mind sharing a little bit of your background and kind of what you do?
Sure. I am a 45-year-old mom to a 26-year-old who got married, but we're doing everything in reverse. So on top of everything else that I'm doing, working and everything else, I'm planning a wedding, shower, and everything with that. So I've been pretty busy. We just got her showered. She got married June 9th. Her
Nice.
shower was Sunday, and then her wedding is the 30th. So it's been a little hectic here. I also have my nephew who's in town, who's a 13-year-old. So we've been running around crazy. And I also help my brothers and my sister-in-law run a heating and air conditioning company out of Western Massachusetts. So I am the controller. I'm the one who controls the money, the HR, the payroll, anything you name in the back office, it's me. That's pretty much. I love being an aunt. I love being a mom, and I love helping my brother's company thrive. Which we're busy. It's what has it been? 90 and humid here.
Yeah.
So nobody likes humidity.
Yeah. Good. So you're basically the one running the show, but from behind the scenes, basically. Yeah.
I'm also the big sister, so I have two brothers and a sister who are constantly always looking for, big sister to help them out also.
Yeah. Must be an interesting dynamic at the office.
Oh, it's fun. We have a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun at the same time. So
good. Awesome.
No
Well, so you do keep really busy, and especially right now in this time of your life, you have a lot more going on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so how long have you been, just nutrition part, how long have you been vegan for? How long have you been plant-based?
I just started it with you guys. I started it in February. It was something that I started looking into probably almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do it because I was too scared to continue to work out and go plant-based. Yeah. I wanted to do it right. I wanted to do it smart. And then you guys popped up on my Instagram, and I just kept searching and looking, and you actually were the one who reached out to me, and I said, well, this is what you've been looking for. Why not try it out?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I always say about 55% of members that come into the program went vegan to be in the program. And so I'm curious as to before we talk about how the journey's been, what brought you to want to give plant-based a try? Because you mentioned it was almost a 3-year process of you just being okay, I'm going to do this now.
So it'll be almost 4 years ago in winter that I was diagnosed with precancerous cells in my left breast.
Mhm.
And so I started doing a lot of research on breast cancer and different things, and seeing that plant-based was one of the benefits of, going plant-based,
Yeah.
being, and I don't have breast cancer in my family. So it was kind of why am I having these issues at
Yeah.
40, I was, yeah, 41-ish.
Yeah.
So I started asking myself, why am I having these issues when there is no history of it? I am a firm believer that food is a big, huge issue, and
Yeah.
especially in the United States.
Yeah.
I feel like I already felt that way. I already believe that food can make you feel a certain way.
Mhm.
And I just felt that plant-based was going to probably be the way to go. I just didn't have the tools and I didn't know how to do it. So I was, one, scared, two, not educated, and I was looking for somebody to kind of help me in that direction.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you did your research and that you made that shift, because it is the one of the big things in terms of like cancer prevention, to change your nutrition, especially to a whole food plant-based one. Yeah. So I'm happy you made that shift.
I am
Uh
too. I mean, the journey has, honestly, for me, it's been fantastic. I did come into it very skeptical. I did come into it, not wasn't gonna fully do the whole buy-in. I was like, oh, I'm just here because I want to get the recipes and I want to figure out how I can to continue to work out and still get my protein intake and the foods that I need to continue to fuel my body.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm only gonna do it for 6 months too. It's like, I'm just gonna give it a good old college try. And um, I did not. I literally didn't even. I came into it for mostly the majority of the reason for health reasons,
Mhm.
and then I just got so many more other benefits that came with it, and I have enjoyed all the foods. I have enjoyed the changes. I'm not fully 6 months in, but I just love it. Like, I tell everybody about it. I'm like, it's great. It's
Well, you just renewed
fantastic.
for another 6 months too, so you're gonna be with us for a year.
I am because I want to make sure, I truly believe in it, and I just want to make sure that I have the tools and that the education, and I feel getting 12 months, a year under my belt will set me up for the success that I want to continue doing it for a lifetime. I can't imagine going back. Like, I just love the way I feel. It's, I can't explain it, like, unless, like, I literally cannot explain it. There's no
Yeah, you
aches
have
and
to live it.
pains. There's just, it's just been fantastic. Like, I love waking up in the morning. I love my day. I love not, hurting or
Mhm.
not feeling like after eating a steak or whatever, like something that's not, like, I'm not a big red meat eater, but like probably a couple months before I had joined, I had a couple steaks here and there within the 6 months. And it was 3 times within like a 6 month period. Every time the next day I was sicker than sick. And I was like, okay, I really have got to make a change. But I was like, don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I, every time I woke up like with a headache, or I felt like I had been out all night drinking. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, this is ridiculous. And I, in the last 5 months or so, um, I'm not retaining water like after drinking or after eating a certain food or something like that. I just feel good. I can't explain it.
Yeah. Well, I can
It's
tell you're
been
just
good.
radiating with joy and energy.
Yeah. And I've been able to work out, and the whole time I've been on it, like, I do have the Peloton bike and I do have the treadmill and stuff like that. So they keep track of what I do. And
Yeah.
I'm PRing consistently. Like, that in itself too was like, hey, I'm eating plant-based and I'm still PRing. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, something's got to be right. So just between like getting the gains and then just feeling good, it's just, for me, it's just, I just wish everybody could have the same feeling
Hey,
and
you and me
understand
both.
it.
That's how I feel too. I wish everyone could experience the power of plant-based eating. And like you mentioned earlier, like unfortunately sometimes it does take a health scare for people to kind of come to that realization.
Yeah.
But like I'm so happy that you did, because now like I can see it, like you're just radiating with like energy and joy and like how good it makes you feel. And like that's what it does when you do it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's been fantastic to the point I joined for 6 more months.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited to continue working with you. So I want to talk about this because you brought it up in your testimonial video also. Like you got baby abs now. Like share that. How has it been to have baby abs?
Okay, so I've probably struggled. I've always been a more curvier girl, and I think back in the days, not so much now, but probably in my high school days, it wasn't really like, it wasn't the thing. It wasn't in to be, a little bit more
Yeah,
round, a little bit more curvier. So I feel like I've always struggled with my weight for probably the last 30 years, and I've yo-yoed. I've gone up and down, and it's never necessarily been the workout thing. It's always been the eating. And no amount of workout have I, in the 30 years I could think of, from like being in high school sports to just being an active person, I've never, one of the things I've always wanted was to have some tone, some definition, something that says, hey, I work out.
yeah,
And I am like, even this morning when I was working out, I was like looking down at my back. I've never had arms. I've always been stronger in the legs, but I've never really seen any kind of tone or definition. And like, like, when I go to take my pictures, at first it was slow and I was like, I'm not seeing anything. But then it's like I sit there after every week and like I like start comparing them, and I'm like, I got abs. So I was like, I don't think I've ever had abs in my life. Like, I'm like, there
yeah,
is definitely a definition. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, I even got little biceps and my shoulders. Like, I'm like, I can start seeing like when there's certain pictures, or like somebody is taking a picture and then we're going through them. Like at my daughter's bridal
yeah.
shower, I'm like looking at the pictures and I was like, oh, look at me. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is so cool.
Look at these muscles. He's just flexing left and right.
Yeah, because and I've never had them. Like I've always worked out. Like I've always been an active person,
Hmm.
but I've just never been able to show that physically.
Yeah.
And this year, I'm like, I'm gonna be 46 at the end of the year, and I was like, oh, I got my nephews, but I have nephews between the ages of uh but it's 13, 14, and then two of them are going to be 15. I'm like, I love them. I love messing with them. I'm like, look at your aunt. I was like, you're not gonna let your aunt beat you, are you? And they're like looking at me, and they're like, oh, okay, auntie. So it's been fun. It's been a great journey. It's been so much fun, and there's been so much to show for it too. So it's been great.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point earlier. Like you mentioned, you've been like training for the past like 30 years. And now, in the past, almost 6 months of us being together, now you're starting to see the muscle definition, the abs coming out and everything. Like, what do you think is the difference? Because like, I'm sure, as you know, at this point, you can't out train your bad nutrition, right?
No. And I think that's it. And I think that's just getting educated on the fact that it's definitely food. It's definitely making sure you're getting the right food, making sure you're food has always been my problem. So like overeating or binging or stress binging. Like sometimes I go to the complete opposite. Either I'm not eating, or either I'm eating too much. Really listening to you guys. Wasn't really in the buy-in for the cold showers, wasn't really in the buy-in for the meditation. Like there was just certain things that I was like, yeah, okay. And then I went to try them and I was like, wow, that really works. And then realizing, I think it was one of your podcasts, like it was one of not maybe the podcast, but one of our, I was listening to the archives of the calls and stuff. And I think it was, if you're not getting enough sleep, sometimes when you wake up the next day or that week, you start craving sugars and stuff like that. And it was
Hmm.
like this light bulb went off, and I was like, oh, how important sleep is. And and knowing that I need to get the right proper sleep and stuff like that. So in the beginning, the journey was kind of like a little bit tough because I was
Yeah.
kind of pushing back on some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But then like I would probably say in the last, I would say probably in the last 4 to 6 weeks, I really started like doing the meditation. I really started trying to pay attention to sleep and the cold showers and noticing that the better sleep I get, the less cravings and stuff like that. And I one of the things I do is constantly have food on me. So
Mhm.
like even if I'm like I think I'm going to be home within a couple hours to eat, I still have a meal on me so I don't veer off
Yeah.
from my diet either. So I think it's just consistency, being mindful, being in tune to your learning your body and finding out what makes you work, why, like sitting back and thinking I'm craving sugar or salt or whatever, and why, what just happened within the last 24 or 48 hours, and then just try to be mindful of that. And I'm not saying that I didn't veer off, but then just like chalk it up and then just be like, all right, let's go,
Yeah.
you
Just
know.
win the next meal. Yeah. Well, it makes me, I find that interesting because you're not the first one to kind of push back on some of the methodologies that we have. It was like, I signed up for a training and nutrition program. Why would I meditate? Why would I take cold showers? And then eventually you just give it a shot and you're like, oh, this is helping everything as an overall, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy that you gave into it and that you gave it a shot. And now that you get to reap the benefits of, just having, I think, a bit more peacefulness in terms of the meditation. And then with the cold showers, you're building mental resiliency, right? Towards
Well,
being able to catch yourself when you do have those cravings.
so one of the, I think for me also is sometimes you don't think it's working, or sometimes you just like you keep doing it and you're like, it's not working. And then what really clicked for me also was I have a run-in massage appointment every other week.
Mhm.
And I'm really, really tight and I carry all my stress in my shoulders, and like my upper body is definitely where it all is. And she says to me, she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "You're literally," she's like, things must be going good at home." And I'm like, I start laughing because I'm like, they're not good. Like there is so many stressors on my plate right now. She's like, "But this is like the loosest you've been. Like you're not like really tight." Like she's like, "Your fascia, you're this, you're that." She's like, this was not one of my worst. Like I always feel bad for her. I feel like she should go get a massage after she's done with me. And she's like, I was like, oh, I just started meditating and stuff and doing this. And she's like, well, you need to keep it up. And I was, so then for me, because I didn't really necessarily see anything as far as the meditation and stuff like that goes, but she did
Yeah.
when she went to go massage me, and she's like, no, so for like probably like the last 4 to 6 weeks she's noticed something and she said something.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would have the buy-in unless she said something, because
I know
she's like,
it's
it's working.
the cold showers and meditation, they just help you to better deal with stress so that you don't hold on to it in your body as much, right? And I feel like that's where it would translate to like you not being as tight in your
Yeah.
shoulders. So yeah, it's definitely there, but it's definitely not something as noticeable as you drink a cup of coffee and you have energy right after, right? It's a
Right.
lot more subtle, but it does like long term make a significant difference.
Yes, absolutely, 100% agree.
Yeah. Good. So I'm curious when you came in, because you went from obviously not being plant based to now like 100% whole food plant based meal plan.
Yep.
How was that transition for you? And how was the amount of food that you had to eat coming in?
So the transition in the very beginning was, I would say, stressful, just because I had like a lot of plans. I had a lot of trips planned,
Mhm.
and I was not sure how I was going to do that. I wasn't sure how I was going to keep on my meal plan. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to go here, there, everywhere, and keep true to what I was doing. Um, but I found that as I made it through the by the third or fourth trip that I had to go on, it was getting easier and easier, and I was finding ways to plan accordingly. Whatever I could control or bring with me, I brought with me. So I would either food prep like my oatmeal, or I would make sure I had if I if I had to bring fruits because I didn't know where I was going to be or was able to get to the store in time or whatever. And then I don't do a lot of protein bars, but I do use them for when I'm on vacation and stuff like that. So I just started getting really strategic about planning and being prepared
Yeah.
when but it was kind of stressful in the beginning. But I think we have to give ourselves grace and realize that it's a learning experience and it's okay to make mistakes. And as long as we're learning from that, we're good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also started with like traveling. It's like a new way of eating. And then you're like, I'm going to travel while I'm learning how to have a new way of eating. But
I think I joined the last week of February and I think I was on vacation like the second or third week and I was like, ah, it was
yeah,
gone.
but I
But
like that. You took action. You're like, I'm not going to wait for things to be perfect. You just went for it.
I did, but I was stressed. It was like I was so stressed out about it because I wanted to make this work and I wanted to give it a good try. But I definitely found, and then reaching out to Nicole, like, what do I do? And she's so funny because she's always like, no need to stress. I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't understand my personality. There is. I'm like, I get that, but that's not how my brain works.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm a perfectionist, so it's like I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
But I have learned in the last few years that if we don't fail, then we're not learning and we have to fail and it's okay to fail
It's part
as
of it.
long as we just, learn from it and move forward and continue to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a part of it. And I honestly believe that because you started any time where you were traveling, it forced you to develop little tricks and forced you to be a bit more disciplined. So that when you came home, it's kind of like, this is easy. I have access to a full kitchen. I'm not like moving around every 3 days. So I think that also contributed to like you having more success because anytime someone's busy, they have more success. Someone that has more free time has a harder time because they just keep pushing things off because there's so much time to like use, right?
Yeah.
So I think that actually played in your favor to like move at the beginning.
I'm not gonna, you know what? I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm like, I don't necessarily disagree with you because when I got home, it was like I definitely would get in the kitchen and start food prep, and I'm like, so this is so much easier. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. There's like a level of gratefulness that comes with it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I got this. I traveled and I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious, what were there like things that helped you to get some quick wins when you first got started, as much as you were a little bit resistant to some of the protocols?
I my wins were, I think for me, my quick wins were definitely, the weight was coming off. It wasn't coming off fast, but I was okay with that because I'm always like, if it comes off fast, it's
And
I
come
don't
back
think I
fast.
feel like I'm not doing it right if it's coming off
Hmm.
that fast. And then I feel like it also sets you up for a little bit of failure because so I was okay with losing. So I did have the quick wins right there. And then, like I said, even within 2 weeks, I think I PR'd like, I'm definitely somebody who's motivated with wins. So I have to kind of see the wins and I had to celebrate the small ones, even when the small ones came. Cause that's another hard thing I think we do as humans. Like we kind of push off the small wins. And I think it was you, like we need to celebrate the small wins because the small wins end up like you have a stepping stone like to keep going, like you build up and you keep going.
Yeah.
So that was another thing I think I had to learn was take the small wins that did come, because at the end, um there is a bigger win. You have to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So
Yeah.
I did have, this has been very successful for me. It's been probably one of the most successful things that I've done in the last 30 years. And I can see myself and I know that I can maintain it. A lot of the stuff
Yeah.
that I did before, it was just a quick, I want to lose 20 pounds, whatever. Okay, we got the 20 pounds. But then within the 6 months to 12 months, you're like within the year, you've probably put some, if not all of it back on.
Yeah.
Whereas I've definitely been able to maintain this and enjoy it. And I don't feel like I'm starving. The food is, for me, the food is plenty. I'm definitely somebody who likes to eat 5 times a day and do the smaller portions.
Mhm.
So it's been very successful for me because I like to eat 5 times a day, and I like to, I love food.
Yeah. I
I
love
do.
food too. It's a great. Wait
I
till
do.
you
I
reverse
love food.
diet.
Like, I want people to understand I love food. Like, so a lot of people have been looking at me lately and they're like, almost like, I don't know if it's like, they're like, "Oh, you look good." But I can kind of see, like, they're almost like, I feel like they think I've lost too much weight. I don't know, because they're so used to me being a little bit curvier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I eat, guys. Like, come say spend a day with me and you will be, you're like, you just ate all of that and all day. And I'm like, I ate all of that all day. I'm
Yeah.
like, and it was good.
Yeah. And this is just a start, because once we do your reverse diet, you're gonna get to eat like a lot more food to maintain, which will be like, for all the foodies, like it's a great place to be.
Yeah, definitely. I will tell you, with my hardest part, I think, was when we got down to the really low calories. Now that we have started slowly moving back up, is
Mhm.
that's been for me I know a lot of people, and just listening to some of the calls, a lot of people aren't a fan of the reverse dieting, but for me, it's the minute my body started putting the more calories in, it was like, wanted it. For me, I have been losing weight,
Yeah.
um, bringing the calories back. So I'm excited just to see what is my calorie intake that I get to have to maintain that certain weight. So we're working
Yeah.
on it.
For most part in general, if there's three scenarios when you reverse diet. 80% of the time people maintain their weight, 10% of the time they lose weight, 10% of the time they put on maybe like a pound or two. Um, and if you lose weight as you reverse diet, majority of the time it means that we'll be able to push higher than your theoretical number. So for you, it's looking pretty good that you'll be able to like eat more food than what the
I look
theoretical
forward to
number
it
would
because,
say.
like I said, I like to eat.
Good. Yeah, it's a worthy process to go through. And again, like the thing is, in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, if you want to, you will be the same weight, right? That's if you decided to not have another goal after, right? But once you're done reverse diet, you can maintain your body like forever until, or if you want to have another goal, then you just go for that thing, but you're in an optimal position to move forward. Yeah. So I'm curious, like, what's been the best non-fitness benefit that you saw from being in the program? Because obviously, like you mentioned, you're hitting PRs, your body's not sore, like you're feeling good. You obviously have like a lot of energy. You're loving being plant-based. But what's been the best non-fitness benefit that you saw?
Um, I just think where my mind is, like, I just feel in a really good place mentally. Like, I do have a lot going on my plate. I'm an overachiever. I do like to, like, there's anxiety because of, like, the things that I put on myself. But I just feel like from the time that I started to even now,
Yeah.
just the energy and just the my where my mind is. And then I love being, I know that I don't interact a lot because I am an introvert extrovert. So, like, and I'm learning that I guess one of my things is that I need to start sharing my story, because I think, and just listening to all you guys, and then listening to hear Nicole's story and how vulnerable she's put herself out there, and I've let her know, like, I really appreciate you and I really love that you've put yourself out there like that. So I
Hmm.
think it's just listening to all you guys and listening to the other tribe members, that it's important to not hoard your story, and it's important to let people know your story, because even if it's one person you get to possibly, if they're they're wavering and they're like, I don't know if I should do it, and then they hear your story or they hear Nicole's story, or anybody else on the tribe, and it's like, and that's what gets them. It was that one little thing, because they were just teetering and they just needed to hear it. So where my mind is from where I started to where I am now, it's just been changing and evolving.
Yeah.
I look at the books that you read. I picked up a couple of them. I'm huge. I just started the whole Enneagram thing, and then I just
Yeah.
saw that you started. I was like, so I just love that it's not just food and fitness, but it's also about, your mind
Yeah.
and learning and just it's like it's just everything. It's your soul, your body, your it's all it's that I just loved. That is me, and I love taking that stuff and I love learning. So it wasn't just here for fitness. It wasn't here just for menus, plant-based. You offered so much more. And it just like I finally realized that I can't sit here and like I need to start telling people why I made my changes, why I did what I did, and how tired I was of, go doing a yo-yo and a roller coaster. Because I was going through pictures like even 10 years ago, like, and just watching my weight just go up and down, up and down,
Mhm.
up and down. And then, so for me, I think it's just where my mindset was when I started in February to where I am now is completely different. And it's in a good way. It's great.
Yeah, well, I can tell you in a different place also. And you talk about sharing your story, like you're in the number one place to do that right now. You're on the podcast, right? That's like that's good. That has more reach than within the members of the Fit Vegan tribe. So all our tribe members will be able to listen to the podcast. But you have a great story, and unfortunately, it is common that people will get a health scare, especially cancer, right? It's a little bit more rampant than it used to be, and um it's something that everyone has the power to do something towards, right? Just
Hmm.
eating whole food, plant based, being more active is the number one way to change, to turn that around, right? And there's being active, and then there's like you being in shape, right? And having the body that you want. And that's kind of why I blended both of them. So, like, yeah, we'll like disease proof your body and eat whole food, plant based. But while we're doing that, like, we might as well get you the body that you want because they're like so closely related.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm really proud of you for taking action. I'm really proud of you for sharing your story, because like it's not easy to come on the podcast and share. Like I get it. I remember my first few podcast episodes. Like it's not easy. And like you've been working really hard, and as much as, and I appreciate your honesty and you saying that you had resistance towards the things that we were like putting on your to-do list for the program, right? Of meditating, taking the cold showers, reading your steps, the water. It may not seem related to your transformation, but it is directly connected to you becoming who you need to become to live in this place of like maintaining your baby abs all year round, right? Eating a ton of food, having a lot of energy, and feeling good.
Yes, definitely. And I
Yeah.
think it's important that, a lot what you offer also is like a lot of people offer the food and the workouts and stuff like that, but I think that you can be successful for the 6 months or whatever, but if you don't change that mindset along with what you're doing, I think it's important to have like all three, because if you
Mhm.
don't change that mindset, then and you go back to your old ways, then you can revert a little bit, and I think it's important and to have that as long with everything else, because I
Yeah.
think it will make you more successful when everything changes.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the only way to make it a lasting change. And if I like, I'll just throw you this like different perspective on meditation and cold showers, right? So we do a lot of things in the program to train our bodies, right? You have your gym sessions that you have to hit, you have your cardio sessions that you need to do. You do a lot of things in terms of improving your health, disease proofing your body, right? By the foods that you're eating. But then where's the mind training aspect, right? So the
Mhm.
gym, you hit it like 3 4 times a week for 45 minutes ish. And then so for the mind, a lot of people don't spend that time training it. And the thing is, you don't need a 45-minute block 3 times per week to train your mind. You need a quick like 5 10 minutes per day, right? You take your cold
Yeah.
shower, you do some meditation. Here's your squats, your deadlifts, and your bench press for your mind. But if you do
Mhm.
that every day, just like you go to the gym, just like you prioritize your nutrition, it makes the world of a difference.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, you gotta do those mind curls, those mind crunches, you gotta do those mind squats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wish for me, I tell my daughter this all the time, let's do this now in our 20s and not in mom's 40s.
Well, hey, the thing is, it needs to be a lifetime thing, right? And so
Yes.
that's the part, is like, how do you make this fun for you? How do you operate from a place where this is a part of who you are now, and it doesn't require any additional effort for you to be like, I had a long day, I'm still going to go to the gym because it is a part of who Rebecca is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just who you are. You don't miss a gym, and you just
Right.
go. When it's time to make your nutrition, like, maybe you won't meal prep because you're tired that night, but the next day you're going to make the best choices as possible because now you're educated as to how to properly fuel yourself. Like, once you expand, it's really hard to retract and make the wrong decisions.
I agree.
Yeah. So I always like to ask this question because I'm curious. Have you ever worked with someone online before?
No, no, this is completely all new. This is I think it's like fate, like whatever anybody believes in, like there's it's just was weird because it was definitely something I was looking into. It was definitely I started Peloton has a lot of plant-based instructors.
Yeah.
Somebody else, there was quite a few people, so I saw that it could be done. I saw that
Yeah.
these people were fit and stuff like that. And I just kept following people, and and in my heart of heart, I knew I wanted to work with somebody, and I never heard of it. And I was like, and it's we're in the New England area. So like it's vegan still hard
Yeah.
to be vegan in New England area is still hard. So I just kept like looking, and I kept searching, and I'm like, if I could just find a company with an app and like program foods and stuff like that and work with me. And I just kept looking. And then it was the craziest thing because I knew what I wanted. I just didn't know how to get there. And I
Yeah.
just kept I'm on Instagram a lot, and I just kept looking, and I was following somebody, and they were like, you must have posted a recipe or something. I don't even know what it was. And they were like, you need to follow this person. And I was like, okay. And then I followed it, and I, thought nothing of it. And I was just like, all right, just kept doing it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not that person that will initially take the first step.
Mhm.
So if you had never reached out to me, I probably would have never went any further. I would have probably still be here, like hovering, like, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do this. And
Yeah.
then, so I was so crazy grateful that you were like, so what brings you here? And I was like, I was like, my backstory, like, been really looking to do a plant. I want to continue to work out. I want to continue, but I want to go plant-based, and I don't know how to. I know I'm doing it. I did it because of health. I'm like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of health issues in my family. I know where my genetics are headed. I know what my potential future could look like. It's not
Yeah.
something I want. I want to be able to enjoy the grandbabies when they come, and I want to be able to enjoy life. And all my nieces and nephews, they're all under 15. They're between 12 and 15. I love playing sports with them and being active with them, and I want to continue doing that with them. I don't want to be um, laid up or fighting there's fibromyalgia in my family. There's so much
Yeah.
going on, and there's so many things related to the plant-based that I was just like, I was doing all the research and I was looking for it, but I was like, I need somebody to help me. And
You just put it
boom,
out there.
there you are.
You're just like, universe, bring me the person. And I was
The
like, hey, I'm
universe
here.
was like it just happened. And then I was like, okay, I was like, let's do this. And I was ready. I was ready for it.
Mhm.
But again, I was only going to give it a little bit of, I was like, all right, I don't know if I can give up this. I don't, and it's not that, like, for me, it was like eggs, and like, I love my eggs in the morning, and,
Yeah.
I forget, and fish. Oh, I love fish.
Yeah.
So those were like my two, like, oh my God. And I gotta be honest with you, everybody's like looking at me like I'm crazy. Everybody's like, why? Like, I've gotten a lot of pushback, and I was like,
It's
everybody's like,
normal.
don't you miss stuff? And I was like, I gotta be honest with you. The food I'm eating has been fantastic, flavorful, filling. And I personally do not, there is nothing that I have missed or craved or wanted. The first 2 weeks, the only thing that happened was I had Nicole and I was like, have you ever heard this before? The salt, like I wanted to be intravenously attached to something salt. The salt was like crazy. I just wanted to like lick anything that had, like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
That was probably like the biggest thing that I had, and it lasted a week, maybe two.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I personally did not miss anything. I'm not, I'm enjoying all the meals. I love them. It's not like you're just sitting, like people I think you're just eating salads all the time.
Yeah.
And
No.
I'm like, the foods I eat, I was like, I love the foods I eat. So, and my taste buds have changed. So it's even funnier because um my daughter would just sit there and eat like a bell pepper, like an apple. And I was like,
Yeah.
you're gross. And like, I am literally finding myself, I have to have bell peppers in my house
Yeah.
because my taste buds have changed. And I'm like, and she's even laughing at me because she's like, oh, I thought you didn't like bell peppers. I'm like, bell peppers they're great.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so my
Taste buds
taste
do
buds have
change.
changed, but
Yeah.
and like I said, because the foods are so good and fulfilling, I have not really missed any of the stuff that I thought I was going to miss.
Yeah. Well, the salt's an interesting one, right? Like when you eat whole food plant based, like there's no salt in the food you're eating because it's all whole food plant based. It doesn't come in a package. Like you actually have to add salt to some of your food to make sure you get some.
Yeah.
So that's great. That was your only craving. I'm curious because you mentioned like where you're from, veganism isn't like, for example, the way that it is here in LA. So
Yeah.
how have you dealt with family members or your surroundings kind of seeing you go through that change and them like whatever comments they have about you giving veganism a try?
So for the most part, I would maybe say 85, 90%, everybody around me has been ridiculously supportive.
Oh, good.
Um, every once in a while people get weird, especially when we go out to restaurants, stuff like that. So, and I try not to make it weird, but sometimes if I know we're going out to eat and I still want to socialize with people, like I will eat before.
Yeah.
I've also even brought my own food in.
Yeah. Hey, that's fine. People always give me shit for that, but like, hey, stay on track. That's what matters.
Like this one time I was out with my daughter and I was like, can I get the multi? I was like, can I get I was like, I think I got sourdough bread toasted,
Yeah.
plain, nothing. And then I like pulled out my almond butter and my banana.
Yeah.
And my daughter's
I'm
like
proud of you.
dying.
The
And
restaurant
she's like,
owners listening are not happy, but like, you got to do what you got to do to stay on track.
so what? I'm sorry. I'm like, I want to stay on track. So, and I was like, I ordered some bread. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't come in and so she's dying. So like, I have done some weird things. I've done like but or like I said, I'll eat before, but I'll come in to socialize and stuff like that. And then I just tell people, please don't get weird. I'm good. Like, don't plan around me. I will plan accordingly for the picnics and everything else.
Mhm.
So some people get really weird, like if I'm not eating or something like that. I
Yeah.
did get a couple, like I did have one family member who was like, really was like, why? And like rolled her eyes and everything like that. And I kind of was like, I was kind of handled it, was like, well, for health reasons. And if you want to know why, I'll tell you why. And that kind of shut her up real quick. But
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate that the majority of my friends and family members will search out for Mother's Day. My daughter found it's about 45 minutes from us, but she found a Mother's Day brunch
Yeah.
that was fantastic. So I do know that we have something on a Saturday or Sunday or something like that. When you have extra time, we can go out there. But for the most part, and she'll help me because she was actually vegan. My daughter was actually the one, she was vegan for she was for a while, but then she went to France and she couldn't
That went
stay
out the
on.
window.
She
Yeah.
couldn't do the whole, it was very hard for her to stay vegan.
Yeah.
So she's probably more of a vegetarian now, but with a little but she helps me because she was way more educated. Like I'll ask her, she's my kind of my go-to because she would laugh when she first did it, which was years ago, probably a good 7+ years ago. And people were like, oh yeah, you can eat that. And she's like, no, I can't. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And she's like, and now I'm finding myself doing it. And I'm like, I can't eat that. And they're like, yes, yes. And I'm like, no, no, I can't.
Yeah. It's so funny that I guess it's still a growing movement, but there's still people that are a little bit uneducated as to what veganism entails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so Rebecca, I'd love to ask you, like we talked a little bit earlier about you sharing your story and having the opportunity to impact people. And one question I always like to ask is if there's someone listening to this podcast that is in your shoes, and I wouldn't say you before you started, but like you 3, 4 years ago, right?
Hmm.
When you kind of had that health scare and you were looking for ways to for you to just optimize your health and put yourself in a better place, what is something that you would tell to that person that is just that's just on the fence, that's just scared of them doing, first of all, something for themselves, and second, like they probably have a child also, and like I don't have time to take care of me. Like what is something you would tell to this mom?
Um, I think so. For me, anyways, it took me a long time to realize that self-care is not selfish.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times I am definitely somebody who will put a lot of people before me. And I did probably the first 40 years of my life, I put everybody before me. And now I've decided the next 40 years, the next 40 years will be on my terms. And I wanna be healthy the next 40 years. So I think one, like it's not selfish. It's important that we take care of ourselves because, you know, do you really want your daughter or your son or your kids to have to take care of you because it was actually food related?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff out there that's food related, and I see people time and time again may started changing those and seeing that all of a sudden they don't have to be on this medicine, they don't have to be on that medicine, all because they changed their diet. Um, and then I was more scared, I guess. Don't be scared. Take the chance. Take the chance. Take the chance on doing it. Take the chance on yourself. Um, and put yourself out there. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say you need help. It's okay
Yeah.
to fail and say you failed and then brush yourself off. I think that's the other thing. I think back then I was didn't want to fail, and I was thought that if I did happen to take a step back or like eat something non-vegan, because
Yeah.
I mean in reality, I'll be honest, like I probably am more my daughter says I should use the word practicing because I'm still learning, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden after I ate something I was like, uh, oh no, I don't think that I didn't tell them not like there. I was like, I
Yeah.
realized that maybe that wasn't vegan. So um I'm still learning, and hence why I signed up for another 6 more months to continue to learn. And
Mhm.
hopefully by the end of 12 months, I'll can probably say I'm 99.9%
No,
vegan
you'll
instead
be
of
ready. Most people stay with us for a year for that reason.
no,
Um,
but like not to like not make those rookie mistakes, but it's okay to make
hey,
mistakes.
I'll be honest, I still make them. I've been 9 years. I'm coming from a different place, but when I go to Starbucks and I order my coffee, I kind of almost assume that they're gonna make it vegan for me because I my whole world is vegan.
Right.
So and then I grab it and I'm like, "Ah, I didn't say almond milk, and then so I have to go back to them. Like, can you make one with almond milk? So
Yeah.
I make those rookie mistakes, but I'm just assuming that like my whole world is vegan.
Well, and I think that I would agree with you. I've gotten to that point a little bit. Like I'm like, don't you know that I wanted oat milk?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
don't you know that
2022. Oat milk or almond milk?
I wanted the vegan protein powder, not the sorry. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we just have to give ourselves grace, and I think take like don't be scared. I'm definitely somebody that doesn't put myself out there, but take that chance.
Hmm.
Go for it. Invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself, especially if you want to live a fun, fulfilling life and on your terms.
Yeah. It's a speed driven track for you to get to where you want to. right? I always express this, but like you coming and working with us for like a year now, this will fast track your level of education and understanding of knowledge and how to train and for you to thrive, right? And so, like, to me, unless you want to make a living in that space, there's no need for you to study. Just bring on an expert, right? If my car breaks, I'm not going to study how to fix the motor because I don't want to make a living out of it. I'm just going to invest in someone fixing it for me so I can do what I do best.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a part people mistake. They're like, I'm going to learn all of it. I'm like, I've been studying for 16 years. I'm like, just you're always learning. It never ends.
Well, I think another thing I learned also, like, just because I've been slowly investing, I think a lot of us think we're sprinting when we're not. We should
Yeah.
be training for a marathon. It's slow and steady that will win the race. Not you don't want to sprint right out the gate. You this is supposed to be a lifelong journey that hopefully you want to take. And in order to continue that lifelong journey, I think it's important that we do slow and steady and go for the marathon instead of the sprint.
Yeah. I'll add something to your marathon analogy. What is a marathon in miles? Like 21?
But it's
And it's 42 kilometers.
I think half is 26.
Yeah, maybe
Right?
it's 26.
Half
Well,
and
I'll just say kilometers because I know
yeah.
that one's going to be right. But people say, when we talk about not sprinting a marathon, you have to, like, if we break it down logically, like if I give you 100-meter sprint and I want you to run as fast as you can, Rebecca, right? Whatever speed you would achieve, and you try to sustain that speed for 42 kilometers, you'll burn out, right? You won't be able to. But the
Right.
thing is, you do need to sprint the marathon of life, but it's not a sprint. You need to run the marathon of life as fast as you can. So whatever is the fastest pace you can sustain for the 42 kilometers is the speed at which you should move. And I think it discourages people when they're like, well, I can't sprint a marathon. I'm like, you can't. You're going to burn out after like 500 meters.
Right.
Right. But you still need to go as fast as you can because, we're here for a limited amount of time on earth. And there's so many things that can affect your body developing some of these chronic diseases. And it's about taking rapid action, going as fast as you can to sustain for the distance, but obviously not trying to like use the same speed you would for 100-meter than you would for 42 kilometers.
Right.
Yeah. So run as fast as you can, which you're doing because you're in good hands. So, yeah, Rebecca, I want to say a massive thank you for taking the time to jump on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I always like to leave like last words of wisdom you'd like to share with the members that are listening, with the people that are listening to the episode.
Just I think keep up the good work. Celebrate the small wins because they're wins nonetheless. I'm thinking about, when the tribes, our chat sessions and stuff like that. I just think if everybody's crushing it and everybody should be really proud of themselves, and celebrate no matter what the big wins, the little wins, just and just celebrate it and enjoy the journey that you're taking.
Beautiful. And I want to ask you this. I feel like I know the answer, but was it worth your investment coming into the program?
Absolutely, 100%.
I know you were new for another 6 months. So I kind of knew the answer, but
highly recommend it. I mean, I love it. I love everything. I love everything that you offer. I love, like, definitely, it's definitely kind of like, what am I trying to say? As far as like looking for a physical goal, as far as looking for recipes and everything, and even like I said, the mind part of it, it's just a great program all around.
yeah.
And it's like I wasn't sure, like going into it, I guess for me too was I was so afraid of my coach because I thought I come from a background of like when you do something wrong, you're like, oh, you don't want to tell anybody that you did it. You're like,
Yeah.
I veered off or whatever. And it's like, Nicole is very forgiving, or she's like, it's okay, just brush it off. We're just gonna get right back on it. She's like, you had a bad week, so what? Let's move forward. So Nicole was definitely someone that was like, does not let you like want to beat up on yourself and like continue to hash it out. She's like, no, we're moving forward. So the coaches, the least Nicole, the interaction I've had with her is, it's been it's good. It's uplifting. It's good reinforcement, but not negative reinforcement.
Yeah, we
The
don't do
positive.
negative reinforcement. It never helps. No one likes to be screamed at or say you messed up, like whatever, right? Like you mentioned, failure is a part of the process. You fall, you learn. Great, let's just get back up and continue moving.
Yeah. So, and she doesn't let you. So she's like, let's go.
Yeah, let's just come on, get up, let's go. Yeah, it's when your child fall, you're like, all right, cool, dust yourself off, let's just move forward. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Rebecca, again, massive thank you for taking the time to jump on the podcast. And for those of you guys that are listening that do want more information as to how you can transform, get some baby abs like Rebecca, there's a link down below in the show notes where you can book your free consultation call. Highly recommend that you take that. Just an opportunity for us to chat and see if we'd be a good fit to work together to help you in your transformation. So everyone, thank you very much for listening. Rebecca, thank you very much for jumping on the show.
Thank you.
Awesome.